Good evening and welcome to the 8 p.m. news on Canal the English with me, Annette Some. Our lead stories for tonight. The 2019 edition of the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope is over, but the echoes are still very fresh. Tonight, the winner, Bacha Eric, is guest in the news. The 2019 edition of Commonwealth Day has been launched today with calls on the need for Republican values to be respected. A sub-regional conference on customs clearance opens this day in Douala. Better performance and the fight against fraud are top on the agenda. A one-week course on laparoscopic surgery has opened at the Yaoundé Gynecological Endoscopic Surgery and Human Reproductive Teaching Hospital. Developments will be yours right ahead. Good evening once more and welcome to this edition of the newscast when Bacha Eric, winner of the 2019 edition of the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope, is our guest. He has been running for the past 25 years and has won the Mount Cameroon Race competition 3 times. Well, tonight he is here to tell us more about his secrets and successes. Eric, you're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
So how do you feel like being the winner of this year's edition of Mount Cameroon Race of Hope?
I feel very much happy winning again for the 3rd time, so I'm very happy.
Well, you ran and you won. Weren't you afraid to go up the mountains this time around when we had threats from separatist fighters? Weren't you afraid?
Well, I was afraid, though there was some assurance that there will be tight security. I was still afraid, but during the race I saw that there was tight security and that fear disappeared.
And so what was that inner motivational force that drove you to take to the mountains this time around?
Well, I can say that since I absented last year, my plan was to come back this time in a full gear, and God helped me to do it because victory comes from God.
Victory comes from God. What's your secret? You've talked of God already. What's your secret? Taking into consideration that other athletes from the Northwest region equally won prizes, and you guys won almost all the prizes, if I'm not mistaken. We know that security in this part of the country is very tight. How did you people go about it?
Well, I can say that, like me in particular, my secret is training.
Yeah.
Diligent work. So I had to train this time out away from home due to insecurity.
So what are some of those things that you did that helped you to make it again this time around?
I can say that I stick to my training program, and I had to improve on my ascending strike because I was lacking behind. So I improved on my climbing system.
Yeah.
And it all enabled to give me this success.
So if I might ask you, what are you going to do with this money? Because it's really big money. How much is it?
10 million francs, but I don't want to put in my head that I've won 10 million because I have other competitions. I have 9 competitions to take part in Europe.
Yeah.
So I want to focus on this competition first.
Now, talking about the competitions in Europe, what are they exactly? What are the competitions? In which countries will you be competing?
I have registered in the French National Series, and I will take part in 5 European countries. My first competition will be on the 17th of March in France. I will equally run in Spain, Italy, Swiss, and Belgium.
Well, if there is anything, let me come back home. If there is anything you want the Athletic Federation to do back home, what is it that you want them to do exactly to make the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope that interesting like other races that you take part out of the country?
I would like them to really improve again from what they have been doing as far as the organization is being concerned, and let Mount Cameroon Race of Hope be affiliated at the international level in the International Association of World Mountain Running Competitions, so that we can have more sponsors from Europe to come and sponsor in Cameroon.
Well, thanks so much for coming, Bacha Eric, winner of the 2019 edition of the Mount Cameroon Race of Hope. I want to say much success to you in other competitions that you will be taking part of out of the country. Thanks
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.
Now we move to something else where 48 hours after the Congo market fire incident, lamentations continue amongst those badly touched by the fire is the Nigerian community where more than 100 Nigerian traders are known to have lost their shops in the fire incident. And so to comfort them on the loss, the president of the Nigerian community in Cameroon paid a sympathy visit to the disaster site. Honorable Okujeku shared in their grievances and asked them to take courage. He equally encouraged Cameroonian traders to stand by each other during this very difficult moment. Honorable Jeku spoke to our reporter Kejang Henry Atembe. Let's listen to what he had to tell the traders.
The fire incident has touched so many of our people, not only Nigerians, that they are Cameroonians as well, that the fire have touched so much. In fact, we are being sorry for that fire incident, and we are here to give them some kind of word of consolation, and then reassuring them that all is not lost. Where there is life, there is still hope, that by the special grace of God, they can still make it. And at the same time, soliciting, using the medium to plead to the government, to see how they can look into the matter, most precisely localizing another place for them to continue with their daily life. When everybody has lost everything they have to make life, it's not easy to restart again. So we are pleading and at the same time begging everybody who can do something to help, change the life of these people that are being highly touched. Thank you.
While we remain in Douala, where more than 7 shops located in the Bonaberry Motor Park have been razed, the fire that sparked up over the weekend has left dozens of traders stranded. Let's listen to this report by Nzi Morin.
At the site of the incident, helpless victims are searching in the rubbles, hoping they could find unburnt articles. It is Monday, the day after fire incident ravaged a section of the Bonaberry Motor Park. Approximately 7 shops went down in the fire, with goods ranging from electronic appliances, beauty and fashion shops, restaurants and bars. This man recounts how the fire started.
Around 4 we start. So we just play game with the inside phone. The fire just started around 4.
Though the origin of the fire remains unknown, victims say it's not the first time the Bonaberry Motor Park is being attacked by wildfire.
I don't carry fire, I don't burn all things. So as they so all the place.
The Bonaberry Motor Park, it should be noted, is suffering from long age problem of dilapidating structures, insufficient space, and poor management, a problem that has continuously put drivers, both owners and passengers at loggerheads.
Cameroonians have been called upon to respect Republican values. Call made today by the Minister Delegate on the Ministry of External Relations in charge of the Commonwealth as he launched the 2019 edition of Commonwealth Day. This report with Thabi Clarkson.
It's on this theme that the 2019 edition of the Commonwealth Day will be celebrated this March 11th with a call to respect Republican values.
Our decision to launch this long series of activities with the flag hoisting ceremony is not fortuitous. It is a reminder to us all that the flag is the identity of a country. It is not just a piece of cloth. It is a symbol in defense of which many wars have been fought. A symbol in defense of which many patriots have given up their lives. At a time when some misguided compatriots have decided to desecrate our national flag as a show of their dissidence. This flag hoisting ceremony is a reminder to them and to all of us that our flag is the common heritage of all Cameroonians.
The launching of the Commonwealth Day at the Reunification Monument in Yaoundé is full of significance.
The choice of the Reunification Monument in Yaoundé as the venue to launch this 2-week series of activities is compelling in many regards. This edifice is an eloquent reminder of our history, a history which brought about the merging of the parts of our country, Cameroon, which were administered by the British and the French.
Traditional dance groups and majorette girls from the sports ministry were present at the ceremony to add some color to the event.
Custom officials and stakeholders involved in good clearance in some 9 African countries have begun meeting in Cameroon's economic city, Douala, to evaluate transactional values in the customs department for better performances. The participants will equally seek ways to fight against fraud, as we hear in this report with Amber Gladys Ziban.
In a bid to fight against fraud and improve the general performance in revenue optimization in the customs department, custom officials in Cameroon and some African countries are reinforcing their capacities in Douala in order to better understand transactional values in the sector.
It's a very, very important seminar because, as you know, the customs value is the transactional value. And you know, our system is declarative, meaning that it is an importer that declares his or her value. And then the customs service is supposed to check to find out if the value declared is the correct value.
It is necessary, therefore, for customs administrations in the Central African sub-region to put in place mechanisms that will ease the clearance of goods at the ports and borders. According to experts, a mastery of the transactional value will facilitate trade.
Usually we have importers who come with invoices and they say, okay, this is my invoice, this is the transactional value. But they forget to know that even if the invoice is correct, there are some adjustments that have to be done to the invoice value for the value to be considered the customs value. So we invited experts, to come and help us. There are lots of countries represented in this seminar, so that together we can be able to understand what the transitional value is, what adjustments are supposed to be done for us to consider declared values as correct values.
The participants from 9 African countries of the Economic Community of Central African States will for 4 days evaluate custom values on goods and seek strategies through which they could properly fight against fraud. This is expected to go a long way to improve customs revenues this year.
We now talk health, where a 1-week course on laparoscopic surgery opens today at the Yaoundé Reproductive Teaching Hospital. Doctors specialized in gynecological endoscopic surgery are training to carry out surgery without opening the body, a method said to be having many advantages, as Beatrice Gamo reports.
A practical session on treatment of illnesses and issues in the uterus has opened this Monday in Yaoundé, using a hysteroscope to see 30 centimeters through the vagina for abnormal situations in the uterus are reached at with ease by the specialist in that sector.
They are going to do myomectomy by laparoscopy. You know, myomectomy, this is one of the most frequent benign tumor in African setting. So if you see many women are suffering from this problem, we are even going to perform hysterectomy, that is TLH, a total laparoscopic hysterectomy, where we are going to move all the uterus by endoscopy without opening.
Visual examination without opening and surgery.
On the uterus, you can have synechia, the one women will not have any menses. So we have to treat them and to open the uterus and make things becomes normal after.
The advantage here is that it is with no great wounds or scourge common with the classical surgery, such as infections, loss of blood, transfusion, amongst others. And the patient can return home after a day of laparoscopy and in 1 week goes to normal activity. It is in order to ensure continuity that a cream of specialists are in Cameroon for the 11th workshop on gynecological endoscopic surgery at the Yaoundé Fertility Hospital, Grasset.
I think it's very important to continue to train people on this type of complex surgery where many people are not well trained.
The advanced course for laparoscopic surgery includes intensive laparoscopic suturing, laparoscopic myomectomy, operative hysteroscopy, amongst others. 1 week of training for trainees to better master this instrument that will enable them understand and handle these delicate situations common in our society, affect women most especially.
Public Health Minister this day paid a surprise visit to some health institutions in the city of Douala. At the Lekantini Hospital, an angry parent interrupted the minister as he lashed out his frustrations at the hospital's poor healthcare procedures. Details with Regina Leke Fonja Tandang.
Minister Manawudu's first stop of his unannounced visit was at the Lankantini General Hospital. After being received by the director of the institution, the minister was given a tour of different departments of the hospital. At the pediatric section, Minister Manawudu's tour was quickly interrupted by an angry parent who had negative remarks to give about the Lankantini Hospital's reception. Mr. Minister, I am very disappointed. The doctors here give us hell. They send us out of the hospital saying, if you don't have money, walk away. They behave as if you planned for your child to be sick. I have been going up and down looking for money to pay my child's bills. I came here and the nurse drove me away. Embarrassed by the situation, the director of the hospital quickly attempted to resolve the problem by instantaneously summoning the nurses on duty. The young man was later reassured his case will be handled. From Lankantini Hospital, the minister paid another surprise visit to the staff of the Nilong District Hospital. The minister's visit was a complete surprise, but we are not taken aback because we are ready every day. The minister congratulated us, and you all are witnesses. This does not mean we will relent our efforts. We will continue to work hard to give our patients the best. After his tour, not all the hospitals met his expectations. I was mostly focused on reception. In some hospitals, the way patients are received is acceptable, but for others it was not good. At the General Hospital, I watched the state of the patients. I noticed some improvements as compared to the last time, but much still remains to be done. The visit of the public health bus continues in Douala Littoral region and Cameroon at large. The surprise visit is geared towards keeping health officials on their toes and to give the best health care possible to patients all the time.
Actors and partners in the biodiversity chain want to make ecotourism more sustainable. They have met to lay strategies that would make ecotourism move from enjoyment to job creation and sustainable development. Beatrice Gamo.
The priority for Cameroon is to protect biodiversity and make of it a source for the creation of jobs, wealth, especially in communities with intact biodiversities in terms of forests, protected areas, wildlife, and all that provides an attraction for a source for human beings.
This should be one of the major projects in which, within a decentralization process, we should design a model which councils or communities should adopt in terms of managing and protecting their biodiversity, while providing an attraction to our children, generations to come. We can have a place where we all can go to relax.
And the choice here is that of sustainable tourism in the Zeng Council area. A local community not far from Yaoundé, alongside her biodiversity, offers to the urban setting as Yaoundé great attractions for ecotourism, opportunity to enjoy the rich biodiversity of this country at a very minimal cost.
Is a community that will largely benefit from the cultural and traditional values that exist in that community. This is going to create jobs because those who will get there would definitely be willing to invest in buying the products that they may produce, in paying for the beauty of the landscapes that they will watch. Why not paying for the hotels that will be constructed there using traditional and local materials?
Question for the actors in this sector to develop Cameroon's tourism by finding solutions to the problems of youth unemployment and development as a whole.
Thanks to support from the German Technical Corporation GIZ, Cameroon can now boast of a practical guide for the protection of the environment. It will enable the public to have access to legal instruments relevant to activities in the domain. Once more, Beatrice Gamu reports.
Environment, a compilation of 689 pages containing 13 laws, 3 extracts of the law, 36 decrees, 2 decisions, 1 circular note, 15 decrees, 3 guides procedure manual, and 1 thematic index.
That have been ratified by Cameroon, and through which Cameroon has taken a commitment to ensure compliance. And we think the public should be informed of this.
A practical guide would respond that will enable the public to have access to legal instruments relevant for their engagement in activities that have an impact on the environment or relevant for the protection of the environment.
Here we have the document. You don't need to go to the website. It's very accessible for those who don't have internet or those who can't go to libraries. But for students also, we would encourage them to go to their libraries because we will put these instruments there for their use.
This comes to add to the other efforts by several sectoral ministries to translate the provisions of this convention.
Not limited in terms of the users. Of course, for any reform process, you need to have a literature review. And of course, a literature review of legal instruments, this is the most useful tool for those who want to carry out a reform.
Documents made public with the support of the German Technical Corporation, the GIZ, fallout of a process that started in August 2016.
Some 6 young men are currently receiving treatment at different hospitals after a brutal confrontation in Dobo, a neighborhood in Douala. This part of town is noted for the commercialization of drugs as well as consumption, a factor that is blamed for such rampant confrontations. Regina Leke Fonjatanda tells us more.
At the arrival of the divisional officer for Douala 4, Ekwa Mbarga, alongside forces of law and order, the situation had calmed down at a neighborhood called Hilltop Ndobo, Bonaberry. An intense fight broke out between youths of this neighborhood on Sunday. According to information we received, a motor taximan's phone was seized 2 days ago, so he went and brought his colleagues to avenge the act. The confrontation was brutal, leaving several persons wounded who are currently receiving treatment in different hospitals in Douala. One of the victims recounted the scene to us in anonymity. I was standing when a guy came in front of me and spoke in pidgin English asking, "Where are you going to?" Before I knew it, his friends all rounded me up and said, "This is a guy we are looking for." And he hit me on the head with a piece of wood. I was passing when I saw people fighting. My brother raised a machete to cut another person. I seized the machete from him, telling him, "Don't get yourself involved in this." Some of the people here told us off camera that one person died, but authorities have not confirmed this. Some persons were wounded. We stopped at the Sebek hospital where we found 2 wounded persons on the hospital bed who are receiving treatment. We have also visited 2 other victims in a small clinic just around here who are equally receiving treatment. We're also told there are some wounded persons at the district hospital in Bonasama. From here, we will stop there to visit them to know their situation. Only then can we be able to give a complete report. Quartier Ndobo, as it is popularly known, is reputed for the sale and consumption of drugs. This is a neighborhood noted for drugs. When people are fond of consuming drugs, this is a consequence. They take laws into their hands. They fail to understand when there is a problem, they can approach law enforcement officers. An investigation has been opened to bring initiators of such fights in Bunaberi that has become rampant to justice.
We now take you to the East region where 2 girls have died under mysterious circumstances within 4 days. The most recent was stabbed and dumped on the street not far from where she works. D. Morin reports.
This is Korbikong quarter in Betua in the East region. The fear of the known now reigns. No week goes by without a corpse, a scene lying on the street. The most recent is this young girl whose lifeless body was discovered in one of the streets in the quarter. The wounds on her body was a clear indication she was stabbed severely, pains which took her to her early grave. We undressed her and discovered she had wounds all over her body. She was stabbed. Some of the wounds made her to bleed profusely. Jeanne was a sales girl in an off-license. She's said to have left work on that fateful day before meeting the tragedy. I was called by some persons who told me there was a corpse in one of the streets. I had to alert the authorities. At about 11:30 p.m., I told her to go home, since the number of customers had reduced in the bar. There was just one man outside still drinking. She left immediately. Her boss described her as hardworking and devoted towards her job. It is a second death in just 4 days, and the victims are mostly young girls. Inhabitants have blamed such criminal acts on consumers of Indian herb, mostly jobless young men. Inhabitants want government to completely address insecurity, which seems to be gaining ground in Korbikong in the East region.
The 2019 edition of the Trade Exhibition for Enterprises and SMEs promote has ended with organizers very satisfied with the quality of visitors who made it to the site. While the technical team today presented their balance sheet, our reporter Beatrice Gamo instead took interest on how the site looks today.
On the conference center this Monday morning, the time to dismantle all the beautiful structures and edifices mounted for the 2019 Promote exhibition. Almost half of the structures of the site crumbling gradually. The professionals in this art of demolition doing what they know best. After 9 days of trade exhibition by enterprises, SMEs and partnership, the organizers says they are generally satisfied with this year's Promote.
Our satisfaction about the security of the event, the quality of the presence of the exhibitors by the security, for the goods of the person. Second is the spaces reserved by the exhibitor. And the third is the quality of the visitors.
Though the number of visitors per se dropped in figures, the quality, the arts, very exceptional, especially as the doors of Promote, though closed, has opened gates for other partnerships.
And for the first time, you have noticed that the quality of the visitors was very professional. All the exhibitors during the Promote want not to receive just the consumer, but they want to engage with all professional, build the partnership, and to organize the B2B.
This year's organization, one full of challenges, the fire outbreak that consumed a portion of the site, then adds to the cancellation of last year and the climate in the country following crisis in certain regions. And as such, the financial returns this year suffers some drop. While saluting the Yaoundé Conference Center for All, the wish of the Interprogress Foundation Promote organizers
to have a new space, a new area to organize the next edition, 2021.
The rendezvous taken, and also it's a new Promote venue.
In religious news, the Christian Men Fellowship of the Presbyterian Church Bonamusade in Douala has lifted the congregation to another level by winning the National Flag Award for the third consecutive time. The award has been presented to the congregation, and this was in a very colorful ceremony that saw Christians from other congregations. This report with Amber Gladys Ziban.
It is with excitement that the Christian Men Fellowship of the Presbyterian Church Bonamusade, a congregation of the East Mongo South Presbytery, is celebrating the National Flag Award after emerging overall first for the third consecutive time at the national rally that saw the participation of 510 groups.
We are indeed very happy that CMF has made us proud again for the third consecutive time, taking the national flag of the Christian Men Fellowship is something very significant. You know, and we think it's a result of hard work, of commitment, of devotion. And what CMF has done is just a reflection of the entire congregation of Bonamusade.
Before presenting the flag and unveiling the special awards of excellence to the congregation, Reverend Bonge Paul Ngome drew inspiration from Luke chapter 8, verses 4 to 15, and the parable of the sower to challenge the Christians to spread the good news beyond good soil, one of the actions and secrets of CMF PC Bonamusade.
Of CMF Bonamusade, we study the word of God day and night as it is commanded by God. Meditate on it, live it, act it, speak it. We proceed as far as doing evangelistic activities, going to the needy, the poor, the sick, the handicapped, the blind. We go to the orphanage, we assist them all over the republic, except I can say as from Yaoundé onward, because we have gone to Sarwe, we have gone to Littoral, we have covered all those areas.
It was an occasion to urge other groups to emulate the example of the men's group at PC Bonamusade.
So I think it is a group that we have to reckon with in the PCC, a group that we have to rely on spiritually and otherwise. So I think CMF Bonamusade has proven to be that icon of the movement and the PCC. So I encourage other groups to contact CMF Bonamusade to have the secret of discipline, commitment, and devotion.
The former CMF National President, Tumfo Barrister Nico Haller, expressed special gratitude to the group and challenged them to take special interest in the Anglophone crisis by speaking the truth at all times.
Say the truth at all times, anything you are going to be guilty.
This report brings us to the end of the newscast tonight on Canal English. Thanks for watching.